After studying this module, you shall be able to know the terms related to personality like traits, types, and states. Understand how personality assessment is done. Understand the different methods of personality assessment like projective and behavioral assessment methods. Know what the Rorschach Inkblot test is and how it is administered. And finally, understand the various behavioral assessment methods. Personality for a layman refers to components of an individual's makeup that may elicit either positive or negative reactions from others. Various definitions have been given by psychologists for personality, either focusing on behavior, physical appearance, individual's phenomenal, or the individual as a social being. Hence, for a behavioral scientist, personality should not only focus on any one variable but include various variables on which individuals may differ, such as values, interests, attitudes, worldview, acculturation, personal identity, sense of humor, and cognitive and behavioral styles. To understand personality assessment, this module will first focus on personality traits, types, and state. In this module, we later focus on various methods of personality assessment, including objective, projective, and behavioral methods.
Personality traits, types, and states. To understand the various methods of personality assessment, it is important for us to build a background regarding the terms trait, type, and state. Personality traits. Personality traits do not have a universal definition. Guilford defined trait as any distinguishable, relatively enduring way in which one individual varies from another. Trait is described as a way in which one individual varies from another. The word distinguishable indicates that behaviors labeled with different trait terms are actually different from one another. The situation or context in which the behavior is elicited is important in applying trait terms to behavior. Personality types. Traits are described as characteristics possessed by an individual, whereas types are rather descriptions of individuals. Many researchers have given different personality typologies, including melancholic type and the sanguine type by Hippocrates. Carl Jung devised a typology that became the basis for the Myers-Briggs type indicator on the assumption that people exhibit definite preferences in the way that they perceive or become aware of, and judge or arrive at conclusions about people, events, situations, and ideas. According to Myers, these differences in perception and judging result in corresponding differences in their reactions, in their interests, values, needs, and motivations, in what they do best and what they like to do. Friedman and Rosenman conceived another typology where type A personality is one characterized by competitiveness, haste, restlessness, impatience, feelings of being time pressure, and strong needs for achievement and dominance. And type B personality is mellow or laid back. Personality state. A personality state may be an inferred psychodynamic disposition designed to convey the dynamic quality of id, ego, and superego in perceptual conflict. Personality state also refers to the transitory exhibition of some personality trait, whereas a trait presupposes a relatively enduring behavioral predisposition. Therefore, state anxiety may refer to a transitory experience of tension because of a particular situation, whereas trait anxiety refers to a relatively stable or enduring personality characteristic. Personality assessment. Personality assessment is defined as the measurement and evaluation of psychological traits, states, values, interests, attitudes, worldview, acculturation, personal identity, sense of humor, cognitive and behavioral styles, and or related individual characteristics. In this section, we focus on the different types of methods employed for personality assessment. Objective methods. Objective methods of personality assessment contain short answer items where the examinee's task is to select one response from the two or more options provided, and the respective scoring is done based on the given instructions. These tests may include written in a multiple choice, true false, or matching type format. An objective personality test is scored with reference to either the personality characteristic being measured, the items can be answered quickly, so test takers can be administered many items. Covering varied aspects of the traits the test is designed to assess. They can be quickly and reliably scored by machine, by hand, or by computer. Cattell 16PF, a brief profile. 16PF is a landmark contribution by Raymond B. Cattell. This is a test which gives objective scores. This is a test which has condensed 4,504 real traits, beginning with all the adjectives in unabridged English dictionary, into 36 surface traits and 16 source traits through the use of factor analytic method. The test consists of 185 items with 3 forced choice alternatives for each item. The test is applicable to persons of 16 years and above and measures anxiety, extraversion, independence, self control, and tough mindedness. It gives the most complete coverage of the personality possible in a brief time. The 16 personality factors mentioned are warmth factor A, reasoning factor B, emotional stability factor C, dominance factor E, liveliness factor F, rule consciousness factor G, social boldness factor H, sensitivity factor I, vigilance factor L, abstractedness factor M, privateness factor N, apprehension factor O, openness to change represented by Q1, self-reliance represented by Q2, perfectionism represented by Q3, and tension represented by Q4. 16PF has been standardized on 2,500 US persons consisting of equal number of males and females. Reliability reports of scores on 16PF are low, with only the social boldness scale consistently above R equal to 0.80. Clinicians should be cautious while using 16PF with high school graduates and persons above 65 years of age because they were underrepresented in the normative sample. Projective methods. A projective hypothesis holds that an individual gives structure to unstructured stimuli in a manner consistent with the individual's own unique pattern of conscious and unconscious needs, fears, desires, impulses, conflicts, and ways of perceiving and responding. Similarly, a projective method may be defined as a technique of personality assessment in which some judgment of the assessee's personality is made on the basis of performance on a task that involves supplying some sort of structure to relatively unstructured or incomplete stimuli. Projective tests are indirect methods of personality assessment. The examinee's task is to talk about something or someone other than herself or himself, and inferences about the examinee's personality will be made from the response. A major advantage of such tests is that they tap unconscious as well as conscious material. The Rorschach Inkblot test is a classic example of projective testing. The Rorschach Inkblot test. Hermann Rorschach developed a form interpretation test using ink blots as the forms to be interpreted. The Rorschach consists of 10 bilaterally symmetrical mirror images if folded in half ink blots that are printed on separate cards. 5 ink blots are achromatic, that is black and white. 2 are black, white, and red, and 3 are multicolored. Card 1. General card, easy card, motivational card. Has black and grey blots with 4 white spaces. Winged creatures are generally seen. Card 2. Female sex card, less compact card as compared to card 1. Consists of 2 grayish-black areas. Connected with them above and below are 3 red spots. First blot that has color. Has black, red, and white color. Human and animal figures are seen. Card 3. Reality orientation card consists of 2 distinct black-gray areas joined together by a lighter gray portion. Between these 2 areas is a defiantly shaped red spot, and above them are 2 red spots, black, red, and white color. Human figures are usually seen in action. Card 4. Male authority card, father card, massive and compact card. Black and gray card with high shading. Attitudes towards parental authority are revealed due to masculine aggression and dependency needs. Shading. Monsters, giants, gorillas are usually perceived. Card 5. Reality orientation card. Whole response is seen. Easy card for many clients. Popular responses are usually given. For some subjects, the blackness of the card is disturbing, leading to black shock. Card 6. Sex card, male sex card. Upper part is interpreted as phallic symbol. Shading of the card is majorly used to evoke response. Card 7. Mother card or female authority card. Light shaded gray in color. Bottom center area at times perceived as female sex organ. Card 8. Reality orientation or emotional tolerance card. Multicolored card. Entire blot is rarely used for a response except for emblems, flags, etc. Card 9. Organizational capacity or emotional tolerance card. Multicolored card and vague in outline. Colors running into one another. Poor form, most frequently rejected. Card 10. Organizational capacity or emotional tolerance card. Multicolored card. The entire blot is rarely used for a response except for artist's palette, underwater scene, etc. Many popular responses are generated on this card. Animal responses are majorly seen. People see all sorts of things in these ink blots. Now you tell me what you see. What do you think it might be, or what it makes you think of or remind of? There are no right or wrong responses. You can tell me what you see in these ink blots. A typical administration lasts between 40 to 55 minutes, but the examiner should work at comfortable pace and record the responses on the response sheet as given in the figure. The strategy for scoring includes: what is the location, that is, area of the ink blot that is used? What is the developmental quality, that is, the degree to which the response was developed or the extent of specificity attributed to the object? What are the determinants, that is, the style or characteristic of the blot to which the examinee responds, such as its shape, color, or texture? What is the form quality, that is, how accurately the percept relates to the form of the ink blot? Is there a pair? What are the contents, that is, different lists of content categories such as human, human detail, and animal? Is it popular, that is, the presence of frequently perceived responses? Should there be a Z score? Are there any special scores, that is, presence of an unusual characteristic in the response, with 16 possible scores from deviant verbalizations to color projection? The other methods of projecting testing include pictures as projective stimuli, as in thematic A perception test, picture story tests, words as projective stimuli, that is, word association tests and sentence completion tests, and the production of figure drawings, that is, the figure drawing tests. Behavioral assessment methods. The emphasis in behavioral assessment is on what a person does in situations rather than on inferences about what attributes he has more globally. Predicting what a person will do is thought to entail an understanding of the assessee with respect to both antecedent conditions and consequences for a particular situation. In a behavioral assessment, mostly only one person is observed at one time. Depending on the assessment, the assessor may be a highly qualified professional or an assistant trained to conduct a particular assessment. The behavior or behaviors targeted for assessment vary as a function of the objectives of the assessment. A definition of what constitutes a targeted behavior must be drawn, and this targeted behavior must be measurable, quantifiable in some way. Behavioral assessors may employ any of various schedules or formats of assessment. For example, one assessment may be referred to as frequency or event recording, That is, the targeted behavior is recorded whenever it occurs. Another schedule may be the interval recording. Assessment of the targeted behavior will be done only during predefined intervals of time: every other minute, every hour, every day, every fortnight. The assessor may also record the intensity of the behavior as gauged by observable and quantifiable events, such as the duration of the behavior, stated in number of seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, or years, or ratio or percentage of time that the behavior occurs during a specified period of time. Behavioral assessment may take place virtually anywhere, preferably in the environment where the targeted behavior is most likely to occur naturally, be it in the home environment or the workplace. Approaches to behavioral assessment include behavioral observation and rating scales. Observing a child in a playroom through one-way mirror, viewing a videotape of a troubled family trying to resolve conflict, assisting a client lacking in interpersonal skills to a party so as to observe her, observing a child interacting with peers in the cafeteria are all examples of behavioral observation. It entails watching the activities of targeted clients by maintaining a record of those activities. Factors noted in behavioral observation generally include a notation of the presence or absence of specific targeted behaviors, behavioral excesses, behavioral deficits, behavioral assets, and the situational antecedents and consequences of the emitted behaviors. Analog studies. A study where a variable or two are similar or analogous to the real variable the investigator wishes to examine is termed as an analog study, which may be a broad term. Hence, Haynes defined analog behavioral observation as the observation of a person or persons in an environment that is designed to increase the chance that the assessor can observe targeted behaviors and interaction. For example, a client who avoids hiking due to fear of snakes, the behavior to be assessed will be the reaction to snakes elicited while hiking. This behavior may be assessed in analog fashion within the confines of a clinician's office using photographs and videos of snakes that are caged and uncaged. Self-monitoring. Self-monitoring may be defined as the act of systematically observing and recording aspects of one's own behavior and/or events related to the behavior. Cohn suggested that self-monitoring relies on observations of the behavior of clinical interest at the time and the place of its actual occurrence. It may be used to record specific thoughts, feelings, or behaviors. The utility of this method depends on the competence, diligence, and motivation of the assessee. It is a tool of assessment as well as intervention. Situational performance measures. A situational performance measure is a procedure that allows for observation and evaluation of an individual under a standard set of circumstances. It typically involves performance of some specific task under actual or simulated conditions. The range of variables that may be focused on in situational performance measures is limitless. Situational stress tests are measures designed to assess how an individual will react to a specific type of anxiety, frustration, or stress. A task is presented that must be completed, an activity that must be carried out, or a problem that must be solved. The way the examinee responds to such situations provides some indication of the way the examinee tends to respond to frustration in stressful situations. Role play. The technique of role play or acting an improvised or partially improvised part in a simulated situation can be used in teaching and in therapy. A therapist might use role play to help a feuding couple avoid harmful shouting matches and learn effective methods of conflict resolution. It may also be used as an assessment technique to terminate therapy for a couple who has successfully resolved issues in the role play method. Role plays provide a relatively inexpensive and highly adaptable means for assessing various behavior potentials. Psychophysiological methods. The psychophysiological methods assist in searching clues for understanding and predicting human behavior by the study of physiological indices like heart rate, blood pressure, voice waves, known to be influenced by psychological factors. The plethysmograph is an instrument that records changes in a volume of the part of the body arising from variations in blood supply and has been used to determine changes that occur in flow of blood as a result of personality factors. The penile plethysmograph is designed to measure changes in penis volume as a function of sex arousal. The pupillometrics pertains to changes that occur in the pupil in response to a variety of personality aspects. The polygraph or the lie detector is based on the assumption that detectable physical changes occur when an individual lies, and the polygraph provides a continuous written record of several physiological indices as an interviewer asks the assessee a series of yes no questions. Judgments as to the truthfulness of the responses are made either informally or formally by means of a scoring system.
To summarize, personality is the unique way individuals think, feel, and act. It is different from character and temperament but includes those characters. Personality may be assessed using either the objective methods, projective methods, or behavioral assessment methods. Projective tests are based on the defense mechanism of projection and are used by psychoanalysts. Projective tests include the Rorschach Inkblot test and the thematic apperception tests. Behavioral assessment are primarily used by behaviorists and include direct observation of behavior, rating skills of specific behavior, and frequency counts of behavior. Personality inventories provide a detailed description of certain personality traits. They are objective tests rather than subjective. They include validated scale to prevent cheating, but such measures may not always be perfect.